Hello, everybody who is watching this. Yeah, go out to everyone who's seriously watching this, and I wonder how you came across this video, but don't blame me. Said I'm saying something you may not like. You have chosen to click on this video. Or what? Somebody else is showing the link to this? Well, you're watching it anyways. Otherwise, you're not hearing me. And the problem is, it is a bit of a society on, yeah. I'm an individual with autism. If you want to know what autism is, do a research, and it is or it is not a disability. It perhaps is, but if so, it gives me, I wouldn't say superpowers, but it certainly is something. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm better than others, but I may have abilities you have, and you may have abilities I do not have. See, and okay, that is a bit generalizing. There are also autists who don't have different than me, but on the other hand, if you look at me, because even then I often don't fit in because generally I do not fit in, but even autists, I try to be civil and try to be gentle with those people, but man, sometimes it is just impossible to discuss. Like politics, that's something to give out, but in the end, we're all gonna be polit- political, and yeah, some accuse me of being on the right. And why do you use all those labels? And because we all have our parts in it, and considering all, for example, the issue of the war of Russia, the Ukraine. Yeah, Russia's ruled by a gentleman. I dare not to excuse me, I'm not a native English speaker. My English is really garbage, but I know that anyways by a person, by a gentleman that is not gentleman, has the money, that has the power. So this thing is cool. And he's destroying Ukraine, and also black flagging Russians, and yeah, so that is something that really does not help. There were also state wars. There were people wars in the 1980s, the Falkland Wars. So wars on Irish between the Northern Irish monarchists and the Irish Republicans. All for nothing. I mean, the question is, would I fight the war? Should I fight the military? And the answer is no. Not because I'm afraid of, but certainly because it's pointless. What are all wars without exception in history? For money, for power, etc. And a lot of people. And yeah, you should definitely agree with if you have a sane mind. If not, then there is something wrong with you. If you think I'm defending my country and yeah, Russia are our friends. You may have been a bit indoctrinated by Fox News, but likewise, I don't what CNN is presenting either, and that is the narrative on guilt tripping others, making an enemy. That's what both sides do, making an enemy, and yeah, there are. But if we also about Ukraine and Russia, well, the war is controlled by both sides. Fight and they're fighting for nothing because yeah, take one from Russia, but you may not share my ideology, but my ideology is not enemy because our enemies are friends. For example, I'm from Germany. Remember what my ancestors have done wrong, and it's certainly not something proud of to speak it nicely. It was horrible, and yeah, Russia joined the good guys and fought the evil powers they have Tater, but yes, say back then the Soviet Union who joined forces with your country, the USA, or it may also be the UK because it just both was along with France, and Yeah, back then the Russians were the good guys, and of course, yeah, the Ukraine was also involved. I mean, the Ukraine is the second biggest country in Europe after Russia. And that even through Russia, of course, not as far as it seems. I mean, only a small part of Russia belongs to Europe. A very small I mean, Northern Asia is totally into Russia, except if we also include part, maybe Mongolia, but Mongolia, despite the freezing cold temperatures, isn't that southern? It's northern. I mean, it's same altitude. Sorry, the bring of the word altitudes and the same latitudes here. That happens if you don't check out some basic English words. And yeah, I dare to say that Russia is need to be also suppressors, but we don't make it. Russians kill Russians and kill people, kill us. I don't. That mean? Should we copy the mistakes of others? I mean, no. History is there for one purpose: to learn from it. And we see it also from example. I mean, example of George Floyd. There are people who say this was all scripted, and I'm not going to get into that. But one of the readers did. I mean, Derek Chauvin did a bit of a thing that some would have thought to be right. I mean, George Floyd was a criminal. There's no mistake about it. But what the officer did was just wicked and killed him. That's a good reason. I would not want police, not because I don't have the guts, the balls to, but because, yeah, I'm not gonna serve those slave masters. So George Floyd, despite of what he has done wrong, he died an unjust death, and that we also cannot all those Russian souls. A lot of honor. I mean, if you find something good about wars, then yeah, get some help. I think people that have been speaking of the right have also stood up against war. So that shows the folly of those terms, I dare to say. I mean, some people may attack me and of being on the wrong side or of taking no side, but yeah, there are things that really I should know more and about. I mean, I can't really Ukraine, even if I would like to, because the money. Sometimes I really, because I'm not one of those guys who don't love to donate to big organizations. I'm one of those who love people who are street and gives them around. I've already donated €2 at once, and the lady was like, well, if you just walk on by, then what's wrong with you, man? I mean, it's a bit hard because I live in a big city in Munich, and there are certainly lots of homeless people, but yeah, so folks are a bit hard to find them. I live in Schwabing, and somehow it's a bit find them. It's time for it. I'm gonna whole city. I mean, was now let's bar. That's now that it's springtime. It's Easter, but still, being on home, it's never fun. But sometimes I feel like I should try it for one night. I've never slept outside, and sometimes it certainly to me would still be better than some I'm living in now because when I have a roof on my home. But sometimes I would love to be electronics without luxury and just be away from all the trouble. That's why I personally hate that I live where I live now. Certainly not city guy, just my opinion on a very matter. You may disagree, and I don't claim to be right. But I believe from what I've seen, I've already been. I remember once when I got tested positive for COVID-19. I didn't really feel much. I didn't feel that sick, but I was nevertheless trapped for 1 week, and yeah, it was one hell of a week. Effect of the disease, but an effect of being locked in. And sometimes my activities and what I do, I really hope it's right that I make this video because and I'm not sure if it's part of my autism, but something I've realized is that it's not on my brain it goes wrong, but my fingers, and sometimes I buy something, grab it, or type something I don't want to type, and sometimes we wonder if there's something wrong with my hands and think like, what? Something wrong? Something must have stolen my hands and replaced them. I suppose not. Maybe it's really my brain, but not because there's something wrong with it. Not because some superior thing. I mean, you can't walk my shoes. Even if you have autism, you may. Different. We are told to walk shoes, and that in some places does work. If you walk around, talked about the homeless people or people that are in jail for unjust reason. Look around. Multiple people are in jail for possessing drugs. I am not about that, but really the war of drugs, you gotta admit, was a big joke. We gotta, this is how standard drug use. I'm not a big fan, but come on, why fill up jails with souls? And I think there are a lot of people free that should be in jail, but I'm not going to mention names. All does not interest me with people, and I'm not looking for criminals, and I'm not looking for victims. I'm just trying to explain. You understand? I have realized that it is all too easy to offend people, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And then you often get attacked, even the community, if you have a different opinion about the vaccine in here, and because I think it's not if we, regardless how Russia is, if we send money to Ukraine, and yes, we should have. I know someone who visits people there, but even there, often how he just slams Russians and just says we should start a war, and instead of laying down all the weapons, he's just strengthening it. Why does the government not help the people that are homeless and on the streets? Think that if nothing, think people. Why do those people getting on to say, I've always been poor people. We can't do anything about it. Why? I dare to say that later, if we say, we don't have the money to help them, but we apparently do have the money to build more mansions, more. There's both from the government, also the churches. If you're religious or secular, it's not the issue. But they get the most money. Yeah, absolutely. A separation from church and state. That's even something that was originally believed by many Christian groups before the Catholic Church turned things around and want people to, you know, build on a theocracy. But right now, all those just want money. But money for more money for power for our military, and no money for people that are on the streets. I mean, it's noble to help the people in Ukraine. Don't get me wrong, but it is not to make accusation of it and just attack Russians. Come on. If people do something bad to you, does it make it better if you do it bad to them back? I mean, even if you, I mean, it is our natural reflex that if you hit me, I may hit you back. If you yell me that, hey, what are you doing? Man, if you example the way, and often that I even do, I do not happen to own a car, at least not at the state I am at, would not make sense, but if you, as an example, come from a bicycle, and you in your car, if it is a Tesla, I may not hear you. And if you want my opinion on Tesla, they're ugly, they're really... If we look for an environmentally friendly principle, then what about horses, donkeys? I mean, come on, let's go way back here. I'd rather having crap over the streets, having those reliable electric cars that are, in fact, slower than horses. And hey, girl, I mean, that's something with autism. I mean, something that you yell at others, that you I'm angry. But if you, because I have my focus, but if I do not have my focus, then yeah, it is all too likely that I may not hear you. And then I may say, hey, don't yell at me. I didn't see you. Yeah, because my brain is just playing bingo. It's just playing, then maybe jumping. Jumping over. I tried to look for an analogy, and even that I didn't find. And didn't I warn all those who clicked on this video in the very beginning? So if you hear them, don't complain. If you don't say I didn't warn you. Sometimes we have to offend people, and it should definitely happen. But sometimes I think I could, could not do some things that would really, maybe I could sing. In fact, I often sing in my work theater group, and yeah, but I'm trying to reestablish a new way. I mean, living in a farm on the countryside or somewhere in the forest, that would be personally my personal dream. I mean, for all its stress, but if you think all those cliches and all that, then yeah. If you think that labels do it and make, then you are doing the exact opposite. You're limiting humans, because we are all understanding the general limit. That in general, we all are bad, somehow bad people. I mean, how? Yeah, I kind of talk too much.